I just analyzed something every SAT student needs to see: prediction questions. And they're trickier than ever this year. But here's what no one is telling you: the College Board keeps using the same patterns. So I broke down real questions from past papers, mapped out the exact types they're likely to repeat, and built a step-by-step approach for your exam. And in this video, I'm giving you the full breakdown so you don't waste time guessing and actually start getting these right. Alright, I just spotted a pattern in SAT prediction questions, and if you're prepping for your exam, this could be the edge that you need. Here's the one that looks basic, but almost everyone overthinks it. What's the main purpose of the text? Seems simple, right? But here's what the SAT does. They lead you with a familiar idea, then twist it just enough to trap you. Check this out. First, you get a stat from Finland's digital education skyrocketing. Then, they explain it using a fancy-sounding model. Schools use more tech because they got better Wi-Fi. But here's the twist and the real reason this question shows up. A new study disproves that model. It says tech adoption is messy, driven by teacher training, student engagement, way more than just internet access. So what's the move here? You don't get distracted by the country names. You ask, why does this paragraph exist? And the answer is always to challenge a common explanation. This pattern, set up a popular belief, then dismantle it with new evidence, has shown up again and again in SAT questions. Alright, here's a transition question. That's exactly the type the SAT loves to sneak in, and if you spot the pattern, it becomes dead simple. Let's break it down. Dr. Elena has studied coral reef ecosystems in the Caribbean for over 2 decades. She developed a revolutionary method for coral transplantation that increased survival rates by 40%. Now, pause for a second. Most students rush straight to their choices, but here's how top scorers think. They read both lines and ask one question: what's the relationship between these two ideas? And here it's obvious. First line is for background. The second line is what she achieved because of that background. So the second sentence isn't contrasting. It's not summarizing. It's not even wrapping anything up. It's zooming in. And it's saying, here's the specific thing this expert did. Now look at the choices. Specifically, perfect. It sharpens the focus. Conversely, makes no sense. You're not flipping the idea. Finally, there wasn't a list. So this isn't the end of anything. Nevertheless, again, you're not showing contrast. You're building. So the correct answer is A, specifically. And here's the kicker. The SAT loves this pattern: broad statement, then zoomed in example. And now you know exactly how to answer this. Alright, this SAT question looks innocent, but it hides one of the College Board's favorite tricks. It's a main idea question, and the way they frame these, you miss one word, and the whole answer feels right until it isn't. Let's look at the passage. We're talking Tar, Hungarian filmmaker, long shots, barely any stories, super slow pacing. It sounds boring because here's where it flips. Most people bail because they want fast, punchy, Marvel-style storytelling, but Tar's films and contemplative cinema in general are designed to frustrate, and then viewers stop chasing instant gratification. They start feeling more, seeing more, connecting way deeper. That's the SAT's trap here. They want to see if you will pick an answer that just says it's slow and frustrating, or the one that actually gets what the passage is doing. So let's check all the options here. A talks about struggle, but no mention of the deeper connection, but no mention of the deeper reward, so cut it. C makes stuff up, like Ter is better than other directors, not in the text. D sounds deep but misses the point. It's not about his intent, it's about the audience's experience. Only B gets it right. It shows both sides, the frustration and the potential for powerful engagement. And here's the part the SAT keeps repeating. They set up a seeming flaw, then flip it into a strength, especially on arts or literature passages. Slow films aren't boring, long points aren't confusing, they're deliberate. And if you see that setup again, you already know what they're doing here. So next time the SAT hands you a passage that feels frustrating or offbeat, lean in. The real answer is probably hidden after the twist. Before we move on, can I be honest for a second? Why is SAT English always the worst parts? Like boring grammar drills, weird YouTube hacks, invitations that don't even help. I've literally tried everything and it literally sucks. Am I the only one? No, you're not the only one. SAT English has been a mess for years. But something just dropped that changes everything. Wait, what is it? Quick heads up, this video is kindly sponsored by Learnmazing, but it's actually fire. It's the first fully animated SAT English course. Animated? More like Pixar meets test prep. The grammar is taught through storytelling, the lessons are fun, easy, and enjoyable. You're not zoning out, you're hooked. Okay, but are the questions even real? Yeah, all based on actual SAT style questions written by real experts who've been in the game for years. But I just need practice like real test conditions. They've got that too, timed and tracked practice sets, just like the digital SAT. You're not just learning, you're leveling up every time you log in. Well, that sounds too good, but what do other students say? Here's what students said. I can easily focus on practicing my weaknesses. This is so useful when preparing for the SAT. The lesson videos are also really helpful in telling you which skills and tactics are important for what kind of questions. Okay, where do I try this? The link is in the description, and if you're dragging your feet with English prep, this is your sign. Try Learnmazing. You might finally enjoy SAT English. Every SAT, the same thing happens. Some students walk in confident, prepared, and ready to crush the test. Others, they sit down, see the first question, and their mind goes blank. It's like the College Board is trying to play a game they don't know the rules to. But here's the truth. The SAT is predictable. The same question types appear over and over again, just disguised in different ways. The top scores is they've cracked the code. And that's what this video is about. I've analyzed past tests, I've broken down the trends, and right now, I'm gonna show you the exact types of questions that you're expected to see. We have an equilateral triangle, equal sides, equal angles, with a perimeter of 876 centimeters. But here's where it gets insane. The triangle is inscribed in a circle. That means all three vertices touch the circle perfectly. And they want us to find W when the radius equals W multiplied by the square root of 3 centimeters. Most students would panic right now, but not you. So firstly, we should find the side length. So this is an equilateral triangle, which means all three sides are identical. So perimeter equals 876 centimeters, and side length would be 876 divided by 3, which equals 292 centimeters. Now we have to find the connection between the side length and radius. So when an equilateral triangle is inscribed in a circle, there is a magical relationship. Radius equals side length divided by the square root of 3. This is the formula that can change this SAT question. So the formula that can take you from being a struggling student to crushing these types of problems. So here we have R equals 292 divided by the square root of 3. So now we know that R equals W multiplied by the square root of 3. So 292 divided by the square root of 3, and this will equal to W in the square root of 3. So 292 equals W multiplied by 3. So W equals 292 divided by 3. The sentence that we care about here says any graduate from the boot camps who arrive in San Francisco with a prototype in their laptop could take no shorter road to seeing it develop than that which led to the office of Dr. Markova. So let's pull out some keywords here. No sure road, which is the underlying portion here. And this means that going to Dr. Markova was the best option if you want to develop your idea, seeing it developed. This tells us what she does. She helps programmers bring their ideas to life. So here, our conclusion or summary of the sentence is that if you wanted your app to succeed, going to Dr. Markova was the best move. Now let's understand the role of this sentence, because when we have a phrase that is underlined, it's more about the sentence than just about this word. Now let's think, why does this author include this? What does it tell us about Dr. Markova? So the passage says she welcomes everyone, even if their ideas are not amazing. She's brutally honest and doesn't sugarcoat her feedback. But despite her bluntness, people still go to her because she's important. So our summary here that Dr. Markova is a big deal. If you're a new developer, getting help from her is a game changer. So now let's try to eliminate some wrong answer choices. So here we have a choice A. It conveys Dr. Markova's lack of interest in continuing to support new programmers. Well, no, the passage literally says she welcomes everyone. She might be blunt, but she's still supporting them. Choice B, it explains Dr. Markova's view of the quality of technological innovations of the time. There is no mention of what she thinks about technology in general, just that she helps people whether their ideas are good or bad. Choice C creates a contrast between the inexperience of a young developer and the wisdom of Dr. Markova. This might sound good, but that's not what this sentence does. It's saying she's the best path to succeed. It's not comparing her experience to theirs. Choice D, it emphasizes the degree to which Dr. Markova's support is consequential for inexperienced developers. Boom, this matches our summary perfectly, and the passage tells us going to her is the best way to get an idea developed, which shows how important her help is for new programmers. So the final best answer to it is choice D. By breaking it down this way, even if you didn't really understand the passage wholly, you can follow the logic and see why D is the best choice. Imagine if every hard SAT question suddenly felt easy, not because the test got easier, but because you know exactly how to break it down. Most students think the SAT is tricky. The test makers try to confuse us. Yes, but once you learn how they create those hard questions, they become predictable. And right now, SAT questions feel like a magic trick. They seem impossible to solve, but what if someone showed you exactly how the tricks work? Suddenly, it's not magic anymore, it's just a pattern. That's exactly what I do in these types of videos, and if you're interested, you can click the join button below. Well, anytime we have a scaling question like this, we should start by understanding how the scaling affects the map and the distances represented on it. So they tell us that the original map has a width of 60 inches and that 1 inch represents 20 miles in real life. That means the entire width of the map represents 60 multiplied by 20, which is 1,200 miles, which is the actual width of the area covered by the map now. They shrink the map by 80%, meaning that the new map keeps the same proportions but is only 20% of the original width. So 60 multiplied by 0.2 equals 12 inches. So the new map here has a width of 12 inches, but still represents the same real-world area of 1,200 miles. So the question is asking us, on the smaller map, what's the actual distance represented by 1 inch? Well, if the entire width of the smaller map is 12 inches and represents 1,200 miles, you can just divide 1,200 by 12, and that equals to 100 miles per inch. So this is just a basic proportion problem where we're shrinking the map, but the real world area stays the same, meaning that each inch now covers more real distance. And notice how the SAT likes to set up trap answers here. For example, choice A, 5 miles per inch, and choice B, 10 miles per inch. And those choices might seem tempting if you misunderstood the problem and assumed everything was shrinking uniformly. But actually, when a map gets smaller, each inch covers more distance, not less, which is why the correct answer has to be a much larger number. And just a quick SAT strategy tip. Whenever they give you a shrinking or enlarging problem, always check if the total world area stays the same, because that's often the key to solving it quickly. So if you saw that the total distance didn't change, then you could have guessed that the new scale had to be larger than 20 miles per inch, eliminating the smaller answer choices immediately. Alright, so let's read the passage. Among the many overlooked artists of her era was Clara Ellison, whose painting exuded an air of quiet brilliance, though few could determine whether this was due to genuine mastery or mere mystique. Her canvases, often obscured by layers of symbolism, seem to hint at an artistic genius that critics could neither confirm nor deny. Her long-lost letters, discovered decades later, might provide some insight into her creative process, but given that they were largely composed of ambiguous metaphors and unfinished thoughts, they might as well have remained undiscovered. Okay, so what stands out here? So, few could determine whether her talent was real or not. Critics couldn't decide. The letters didn't really help, they just added to the mystery. And that's the basic sense of it. So let's check out the choices here. Choice A, she has the reputation of a remarkable artist, but it's unclear whether she truly possesses extraordinary talent. Well, okay, so remarkable artist. Yeah, the passage says her paintings had quite brilliance, but unclear whether she truly possesses extraordinary talent. Yep, this matches perfectly with critics could neither confirm nor deny her genius. And I like this choice. It really feels like neutral and it's very hard to prove it wrong. So let's check out the others as well. So choice B, she intentionally avoided public recognition despite making significant contributions to the art world. Intentionally avoided public recognition? Did she do that? No, nothing in the passage says she was avoiding fame. And it's not like she was hiding in a cabin somewhere. It's just that critics didn't know if she was actually good. So I don't really like this one. Choice C, she appeared to be a visionary painter, but her writing suggested some of her work was fraudulent. Fraudulent? It's a super strong word. Did the passage ever say her work was fake? Nope, it just says the meaning was unclear, not that she was lying. And it's a very strong word and there is no proof in the passage. Choice D, she would have been widely recognized if her artistic influences had not been difficult to interpret. Would have been widely recognized? Does the passage say that? No, it just says people couldn't figure out if she was truly great. If her artistic influences had not been so difficult to interpret, the passage talks about symbolism and mystery, but it doesn't say that the reason she wasn't famous. And in this choice, there is too much assumption, so that's why that's not a correct answer choice. Now that we know the final correct answer choice is choice A. The clothing store buys shirts at a wholesale price of $5 each and resells them each at a retail price that is 320% of the wholesale price. At the end of the season, any remaining shirts are marked at a discounted price that is 75% off the retail price. What is the discounted price of each remaining shirt in dollars? So this is such a great question because it has some serious traps, and I would know that going in, first, we're dealing with the percentages, which are notoriously tricky on the SAT. And second, it's a multi-step problem, meaning there is a huge opportunity for you to make a mistake. So if you don't stay careful, you might make a mistake here. So let's break it down step by step. So here we are given that a clothing store buys shirts for $5 each. Then it resells them at 320% of the wholesale price. That off is really important because it tells us that we're not just taking a normal percentage of a number. That means we use this formula. New price equals original multiplied by a percentage as a decimal. The original here is $5 and 320% as a decimal is 3.20 because we move the decimal 2 places on to the left. So 5 multiplied by 3.2 would equal to $60. So the retail price of the shirt is $16. But you're not done yet. There is a second step that you should take. Any remaining shirts are marked at a 75% discount. Now the phrase 17% off is very different from saying 70% off. This is where a lot of students get trapped because off means we subtract that percentage from 100. So instead of multiplying by 0.75, we multiply by 1 minus 0.75, which is 0.25, because 75% off means you're only paying 25% of the original price. So $16 multiplied by 0.25, and that's equals to 4. So that's our final answer, $4 per shirt. And if you wanted to do this all in one step, you could have done 5 multiplied by 3.2 multiplied by 0.25, and you would get 4. But since these percentages can be tricky, I highly recommend you to break it down because this video is your golden ticket. The 10 hardest SAT prediction questions, the ones that rack so many students every single year. And I spent the last 3 months analyzing the last 3 years SAT data, tracking every single SAT trend, decoding College Board updates. And the best part is that I've put together a free worksheet with every single strategy that you need. In 1954, something happens that changed the world forever. A man named Dr. Jonas Salk developed the first polio vaccine, a single discovery, a single breakthrough. Millions of lives were saved. But here's the real question. How do we measure the impact of this man's work? Medical researchers argue that Salk's contribution to eradicating polio is the vaccine's mass immunization campaigns and the dramatic collapse of polio cases worldwide. So let's break this down step by step. So the answer is right in front of you. So step number 1 is thinking before you look. So first pause, take a deep breath. What's the passage really saying? So Jonas Salk made a vaccine. That vaccine didn't just help. It wiped polio off the map in most of the world. And his contribution is obviously connected to this massive success. Now, before even looking at the answer choices, now I want you to ask yourself, well, is Salk's contribution irrelevant, criticized, or hidden? Think about this. No, it's not clear as day. So, step number 2 is eliminating the nonsense answer choices. Look at the options. Some of them are ridiculous. And let's have a look at choice A, irrelevant to. Are you joking? The vaccine saved millions of lives. Of course, his contribution is relevant. So let's eliminate choice A. Choice B, criticized by. Criticized? Who is even criticizing a man who literally helped eradicate a disease? So this choice is wrong. Choice D, obscured by. Obscured? No, his work isn't hidden. It's in the history books, right? So we can eliminate choice D as well. Now, if you have a look at choice B, evident in, bingo. Salk's contribution is clearly seen in the success of the vaccine. The streets of Manhattan are a war zone. Not for humans, and no. For pigeons, for rats, for every creature that is desperately fighting for the survival in a city that never sleeps. You think New York is just buildings and people? That's completely wrong. It's an ecosystem, a battlefield. Every single square inch of the space is contested. The competition is so brutal. And in the middle of this chaotic struggle, we have one crucial word, which is claim. What does it even mean? It's not some legal document or it's not some peaceful negotiation. No one is politely stepping aside and saying, "Oh, excuse me, Mr. Rat, this spot is yours." No. It's the fight, it's survival, it's about who gets to stay and who gets pushed out. So, which answer choice captures this sort of ruthless energy? Let's kind of break them down. So, starting with choice A, declare. Declare ownership of. It sounds really fancy, right? Like a king sitting on a throne saying, "I declare this land mine." But we're not talking about royalty. We're talking about rats and pigeons, battling for scraps. So this choice is wrong. Choice B, demands compensation for. What? Who's getting paid? Like, a rat isn't walking into a court saying, "I demand financial compensation." No, it's not saying that. So we can literally eliminate this choice as well. Now let's have a look at choice C, reserve exclusively for. This choice looks like they are booking an Airbnb reserved from this ledge from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. No, this is not a reservation system, so this choice is wrong. Now let's have a look at choice D, compete to obtain. Yes, yes, yes. This is the war. This is competition. This is the very essence of what's happening on these streets. Every bird, every rodent is fighting for its place, for its food, for its survival. And this is the correct answer choice. So the final answer is choice D, compete to obtain. If you don't get this prediction question right, you will stay stuck and you will keep getting the same mediocre scores, the same frustrating results, the same feeling of, why am I not improving? So let me show you how to solve this SAT prediction question. So step number 1 is looking at the question again slowly. So we are not just finding an answer. What we are doing is that we are finding the answer. So let's read it again. Feel it. What's this actually asking? So it's not asking for a fact, and it's asking for a function of what the underlined sentence is, and it's asking what the underlined sentence is doing in the passage. So the second step is reading the passage, but this time with awareness. So when studying the behavior of wild wolves in Yellowstone National Park, researchers observed a striking change in pack dynamics after the reintroduction of wolves to the area. Shifting from their solitary hunting practices to highly organized, cooperative hunting strategies, the wolves began to take down larger prey with greater efficiency. This behavior, influenced by environmental pressures, allowed the wolves to survive in an ecosystem that previously struggled with a lack of predators. Do you see it? The first sentence sets up the big change. The underlying sentence zooms in on that event. And the last sentence explains why it matters. And that middle sentence is elaborating. It's giving the details that make the change real. So the next step is predicting before looking at the answer choices. And I will tell you this right now. Smart test takers predict first. And if you just jump to the answer choices, you get trapped. So your brain latches onto whatever sounds real good in answer choices. But if you already know what you're looking for, then you can smell the right answer. What is our prediction then? So the underlined sentence is adding detail to the previous one. It's giving a clear picture of the change in hunting strategies. So the next step is destroying the wrong answer choices. So let's go one by one. Choice A, it elaborates on the previous sentence statements about a change in the wolf's hunting strategies. Oh, this matches our prediction exactly. Choice B, it provides information about how the ecosystem evolved in support of a claim about wolf behavior advanced in the following sentence. Nope, this isn't about the ecosystem evolving. That's just background info in the last sentence. Choice C, it recounts a moment in the wolf's adaptation process that ensured the survival of their species, which is summarized in the following sentence. It sounds a little fancy but strong. The sentence isn't about a moment. It's just explaining the behavior. Choice D. It presents evidence that challenges the previous sentence characterization of wolf pack dynamics. What? There is no contradiction. The sentence is supporting the first one, not challenging it. So the final step is locking in the answer. So the final correct answer choice is choice A. That's it. That's how you dominate this type of SAT question. Now, if you're still hesitating, if you're still doubting yourself, ask yourself this. Are you actually applying these steps when you practice? Or are you just skimming the answer choices and hoping for the best? This is an SAT structure question, and you know what that means. They're not asking for what the passage says, they're asking how is this passage built. Think of it like architecture, like dissecting a blueprint. The first line, a question, and it pulls you in. It makes you wonder, why do sunflowers tilt but oaks don't? Then, the passage offers a theory, a possible answer. It introduces oxen, it explains the difference, it tells us why one plant moves and the other stays still. So, what's the structure here? It's question, then answer. So, that's it. Simple, direct, and clean. Now, let's destroy the wrong answer choices one by one. Choice A, the text compares the growth patterns of two plant species, then explains how those patterns are affected by environmental changes. No. The passage does compare two plants, sure, but where is the part about environmental changes? Nowhere, not a single mention. So choice A is wrong. Choice B, the text presents a theory about two species, then discusses facts that weaken the theory. Weaken the theory where the whole passage supports the theory. It's not questioning it, so we can eliminate choice B as well. Choice C, the text poses a question about two species, then presents a possible answer. Yes. That's exactly what happens. Keep this one. Now choice C. The text describes a behavior shared by two species, then discusses other behaviors shared by them. Shared behaviors? No, these two plants are so different. One moves, one doesn't. So this choice is completely wrong. The correct answer is choice C because it's simple. And that is how you analyze SAT structure questions. You break it down, you look at the blueprint, and you choose the answer that actually fits, not the one that just sounds smart. Now, go apply this method in every SAT structure question that you see, and watch how easy those questions are gonna become. So the first step is reading the question. Here is the question. Which choice best states the main purpose of the text? Pause right here. This is where most people mess up. Main purpose questions are not about random details, they are about one thing. Why did the author write this? Think of it like a text from a friend. What are they really trying to say? What is their main point? That's what we need to figure out. So the next step is reading the text. Popular systems are that solar panels and wind turbines dominate renewable energy discussions because they've changed global markets. Lesser known systems are the ones that says wave energy converters could also be crucial in fighting climate change. And a key point here is that unlike solar and wind, wave energy is still untapped, but it has huge potential for large-scale energy production. So the next step, step number 3, is predicting the answer choice. All right, so let's break this down. The first part, which is solar and wind energy, they're already famous. They are the celebrities of renewable energy. And the second part talks about wave energy, the underrated underdog. But scientists think it could be huge. The author isn't listing some problems. They're not saying wave energy is better than solar and wind. They're just shining a spotlight on wave energy's potential. So what is our prediction? Our prediction is that the passage is explaining why wave energy is an exciting and promising field in renewable energy research. So the next step, step number 4, is analyzing the answer choices. Now let's go full on these 4 answer choices. Choice A, to describe the technological challenges faced by wave energy systems during development. Nope, the passage never talks about problems or struggles. If this were a boxing match, this option wouldn't even be in the ring. So we can eliminate this choice. Choice B, to present reasons why renewable energy researchers consider wave energy systems to be promising. Yes, This is exactly what we predicted, and the passage hypes up wave energy's potential and says why scientists are excited about it. So let's keep this choice locked in. So choice C, to compare the efficiency of wave energy systems with that of solar and wind energy. Nah, there is no wave energy is 27% more powerful, like nonsense here. The passage isn't comparing efficiency, it's just explaining wave energy's potential. And we can eliminate this choice. Choice D, to argue that wave energy systems are more effective at reducing emissions than solar or wind energy. Absolutely not. The passage isn't making an argument. No one is saying wave energy is the champion of renewables. So we can eliminate this choice as well. So the next step, step number 5, is deciding on the final answers. So the best choice here is choice B, to present reasons why renewable energy researchers consider wave energy systems to be promising. Now, I want to give you some tips to approach these types of questions. So the first tip is think big picture. Don't get lost in the small details. Instead, zoom out. Ask, why did the author write this? Step number 1, reading the text carefully. The text is about a study where Dr. Marcus Reyes is looking at how exercise affects the release of endorphins, the feel-good chemicals in your brain. And here's the key part. Low-intensity cycling doesn't really do much for endorphins. High-intensive cycling, boom, endorphins spike. But here's the most important part. Heart rate didn't go past a certain level. So Dr. Reyes didn't think the increase in endorphins came from physical strain. Instead, she thinks it was the intensity of the exercise that caused the endorphins to release more. So the heart rate finding is important because it helps Dr. Rees figure out why the endorphins were increased. Without it, he might have thought that increased endorphins were just from physical strain. Now, the next step is predicting our answer choice. All right, so let's predict. Here's what we need to know. The heart rate not going past a certain level is super important because it rules out that the endorphins were released just from physical effort. And this means the heart rate finding is crucial because it shows the increase in endorphins was due to intensity and not the physical effort, which, let's be honest, we all know is sometimes overrated, right? So based on this, I predict the answer is going to have something to do with ruling out an alternative explanation for the endorphin increase. So the next step, step number 3, is analyzing the answer choices. Now let's go through each answer choice really carefully. And we have to be like you're picking the best ice cream flavor from the freezer. You always choose the right one, right? Right. So choice A, it provided a preliminary evidence that endorphin levels increase during high intensity cycling. Nope, the passage already told us the endorphins increase during high intensity cycling. The heart rate finding isn't giving us that information. It's telling us why the increase happened. So we can literally eliminate this choice. Choice B, it suggested that changes in endorphin levels, endorphin release may occur during both high and low intensity exercise. Oh no. This isn't what the passage is saying. It doesn't suggest that low intensity exercise causes endorphin increases. It's focusing on high intensity exercise. So we can delete this one too. So choice C, it ruled out a potential alternative explanation for the increase in endorphin levels during high intensity cycling. Bingo, this is exactly what the passage is saying. The heart rate didn't go past a certain level, so the increase in endorphins couldn't be from physical strain, as Dr. Riens was able to rule that out, and this is the right answer. Choice D, it clarified that endorphin release during exercise depended on participants' individual fitness levels. Nope. We didn't talk about individual fitness levels in the passage. The study didn't focus on that at all. We can toss this one away. So the next step is deciding on the final answer. And the correct answer choice is choice C. It ruled out an alternative explanation for why the endorphins increase during high-intensity cycling. The heart rate finding also helped it explain that it was the intensity, not the strain, that caused that increase. And if you're interested in getting your dream SAT score as fast as possible, make sure to watch this video next where I break down exactly how you can do it.